All right, well, we are reviewing the week of November 24th through the 20... Goodness, I'm looking at the wrong month. November 26th through the 30th. And we did geometry this week, and we talked about how a rectangle is... the defining attribute is that it has 4 right angles. And the short of it is that means that a square is a rectangle as well. And there are squares and non-square rectangles. And they made note that that would be an oblong rectangle. So that was very interesting to learn, and we decided we were just going to throw squares out the window and everything we knew about them. Now, we also talked about the rhombus. That was the second term we learned this week. And the rhombus, I'm going to move this guy over a little bit more. The rhombus is basically what we've always called a diamond. And the rhombus has 4 equal sides. So that is the defining attribute of the rhombus. 4 equal sides. Okay, so that means a square is not only a rectangle, it is also a rhombus. So I put a non-example right here, which would be this diamond-shaped object, because it doesn't have 4 equal sides. Actually, it could, now that I'm looking at it, but let's get out this ruler, and that's how we would decide if it has 4 equal sides or not. And I really like this ruler on this. That would be a little over an inch. And let's get the 0 right there. And this is how you would decide. We've done this in class as well. We get out a ruler and we check to see if the and that's a little over an inch. So I guess this one actually could be a rhombus as well. So let's get rid of these. But as long as it has 4 equal sides, and again, that's how we check, is we use the centimeter side of a ruler. In our class, I use the inch side on this ruler, but the centimeter side on the ones we have in class is easiest to read. The third term that we used for geometry this week is the trapezoid. We did that one next. Let me move this ruler out of the way. So the trapezoid, we've always thought of the trapezoid as looking like this shape right here, just because that's the basic introduction to the trapezoid. And I did gymnastics, and we used a trapezoid for different gymnastics tricks that we did. So I used the word trapezoid a lot growing up. But this trapezoid is a trapezoid because it has it is a quadrilateral, which actually all 4 of these are quadrilaterals, meaning just that they have 4 sides, 4 straight lines. Okay, so it's a quadrilateral that has 1 pair of parallel sides. I love you too. Go to Daddy. And Kaylin is here visiting. So, we're going to show how we decide if they're parallel lines. I'm going to use the ruler again and pick this guy up. And we measure to make sure it's the same distance all the way across. And this one is the same distance all the way across. So those 2 lines are parallel, and since it's a trapezoid, it only has to have one side of parallel lines. So I'm going to check and show that the other side is not parallel. Now we can use our eyes, but it is important to be able to show with a ruler that you can show why it's parallel. Okay, so if let's put it at the 3 and the 0, and if I move it up, it does not stay at 3 and 0, and if I move it down, it does not stay 3 inches apart. So those are not those are not parallel. Also, if you extend the line, another way to think about it is that eventually this line right here would cross paths with this line right here. So that's another way for students to think about it. This line down here, I did it with just lines rather than the shape tool, so it's not quite as accurate, but still we can look at it and oops. Okay, so let's look at this one, and if I pick it up, it's pretty close to being the same distance apart. The thing to note about this one right here is that these two lines, this line right here and this line right here, don't have to be parallel, and they don't have to be opposites of each other either, like this one right here, how they are opposite each other, kind of like a lampshade. Really, it's a trapezoid as long as two of the lines are parallel to each other, and that is the deciding factor. So the last word that we talked about is a parallelogram. Okay, and this one has two pairs of parallel sides. Okay, so over here you have these two lines. Let's go this way. These two lines are parallel and are the same distance apart. It's kind of hard to show on this. It's a lot easier to show on a non-standard with a non-standard ruler. I guess we'll just have to go down and keep the 0 at there. Okay, so it's always going to stay no matter where. If I keep moving the 0 down the line, it's still going to be the same distance apart. Okay, and then, but a non-standard ruler, or measuring tool, like just a piece of paper, you could mark that on the paper and then slide it up and down and show that it's the same distance apart the whole way, just because of the angle of the lines. And then we can show again with a ruler that these other two lines are parallel because they stay the same distance apart the whole way down, and those lines, no matter how far they extended, would never cross. And so those two lines are also parallel. So that's two ways to think about it. One, measuring it, but then two, thinking of it as the lines extended. Let me take away this tool. Oh, no, I didn't want to. Anyway, alright, so we have the, let me write the word quadrilateral, because that's important, that all of these are quadrilaterals, and then we'll be done with this review. So all four of these shapes, again, are quadrilaterals. Let's go over them one more time. I'm going to highlight them as we go. We have the rhombus, which has 4 equal sides. We have the rectangle, which has 4 right angles. The parallelogram, which has 2 pairs of parallel sides. And the trapezoid, which is quadrilateral, that has 1 pair of parallel sides. So the parallelogram would also be a quadrilateral. Like I said, all 4 shapes are quadrilaterals. Okay, and then the square, it's important to know that a square can be both a rectangle and a rhombus. So that's it for today, and I hope you all have a good week this week. I will see everybody in class.